buggies? Mennonites. That's always a Mennonite up in that area. And down in the Santa Monica area, it's a Jewish rabbi. And it just depends, again, on the backgrounds of the people that are giving this part of the talk, as it communicates from person to person. This one is very interesting, and it didn't happen in this group, but it often happens, is that the first person says there's a lady carrying a baby, and it goes about the fourth person, and it's a pregnant lady. So carrying a baby gets switched over in people's minds to pregnancy. You might be aware of that. Ladies in the audience, I want to caution you about this. If you look at this lady's face, this doesn't necessarily have to be an old lady. But inevitably, when she's described in the groups, it's an old lady, and it's because of the way she's dressed. The hat, the lace around the collar, the glasses, but there are no wrinkles in her face. The hat, all of those things indicate an older woman. And you want to be, when you're dressing, you might want to take that into consideration, because that isn't necessarily so. This man is very interesting. Did not want to be, he ranges all the way from a New York gangster to didn't want to be involved. And I'll tell you, there's a phenomenon that's happened over the last 5 years of this talk that's sort of frightening. More and more, this becomes very significant. Didn't want to become involved. You read about the doctor who drives along on the road, sees a terrible automobile accident, but drives on because he didn't want to become involved. The lawsuit aspect. A fight in a schoolyard, this is a true experience, in San Jose. Big kid, bully, comes over, very scrawny little kid, glasses. Big guy says, "Hey, you've been pressing me too much lately." And the little guy, books under his arm, "Hey, I don't want any trouble." You know, he's backing up, he's trying to get out of it. The big guy keeps pressing, bigger and bigger crowds of kids are gathering around. Maybe 100 kids now watching, now 200. Big kid finally says, "Come on, chicken, let's fight." Pushes the kid in the chest. Little kid says, you know, I mean, he's caught. He's got to fight. He's in front of all of his peers, even though the guy outweighs him double his weight and is mean. Starts to take off his coat. Big kid hits him in the face and knocks him down, breaks his nose. Big kid now proceeds to kick the little kid in the face about 5 times. Puts out one eye, breaks his nose, and the kid is permanently damaged for life. They went to the crowd that was standing around, the 200 kids, a religious group, after this incident up in San Jose, and they said, "Why the hell didn't you step in? Why didn't you and some of your friends try and stop that confrontation?" And the feeling was, "Hey man, I didn't want to get involved. It wasn't my fight. I didn't want any part of that. It wasn't my trouble. I didn't even know the guys." My friends, what it really says is that our society today is moving to a point where more and more people do not want to become involved. And I think we're going to see, and we're seeing it in the military. We're seeing people move away from some of their responsibilities. They aren't willing to make a commitment. They aren't willing to say, "Hey, wait just a goddamn minute, that's not right. Let's not do that. That's not the way to go." So more and more in our society, we're seeing this happen, and it's sort of a frightening experience. And it's happening in the civilian world a lot worse than it is in the military. I want to assure you of that. Again, 3 people down here. This could be anybody, but often it's a black because of the hairstyle. The clock often goes all the way through. The Dyckman Street goes all the way through the 4 people. So the rumor is true in that respect. But the rest of the rumor, at least in civilian audiences, it gets radically changed because of our subliminal stereotypes that we carry in our minds.
May
Yes.
I ask a question?
Yes.
As people describe this picture, do you find that it gets less detail as it's described?
It gets fuzzier and fuzzier, and I wanted to break down, and it didn't break down enough in today's talk. This audience is sort of trained, I think, to communicate accurately, and so it hurt my talk. Although I've given this talk to police officers, and I've never seen a more screwed up description than in my life about what was happening in that situation. I also gave it to the National Truck Drivers Convention, and they must live in a very violent world. Jesus Christ, I couldn't believe there was a little drinking going on too, and that, you know, that helped. But one guy, about the 3rd or 4th guy, one of the people was down on the ground. You know, the rumor had gone to that point. The one guy was down on the ground, and this truck driver graphically demonstrated how one of the participants was kicking the head off of the other guy. And he actually went through the motions of it, and he was the third person. He had no idea what the picture was about. But that was his view of what had been told to him. Yes?
You know, one thing, when I saw the picture that I got different from the way she described it, and I think she described it that way, I took the white man with the razor, but I thought he was a blue-collar worker.
Well, he is. In this picture?
Well,
I mean, he's got the work clothes on.
Okay.
Is that what you meant?
I didn't take it really as a workman like that. I took it more of a business type.
Yeah, blue collar has a different meaning to different people. That word is one of those words.
Man, I take the thing of a blue collar more of a Simi type between white collar and a laborer, say, or a guy who works in a...
Well, it's just the way the words describe it. Yes, ma'am.
I think one reason your communication didn't break down is that you gave people a chance to add.
Well, you know, usually that breaks it down worse. Usually if you get it from one person, then it's got continuity. But when I let different people in the audience participate, they screw it all up. But you guys didn't screw it up enough. You were too concise. Yes?
Well, when I was standing there in first person and you said, you know, did everybody want to add something, I purposely did not listen to
Oh,
what
swell.
he said, because I knew that it was going to be extra data that I didn't need.
Static.
Static.
Yeah.
I assumed that you had told them to throw in all this extra data, so I just, you know, I listened to it, but I really purposely said no,
Yeah.
that, not that.
Okay, well that was shrewd on your part, but you probably screwed up my talk forever. Yes. Yes.
You know, it's interesting up there that we say that's a businessman and that he's black. But if you look at his features, he doesn't really resemble a black man to me. You know, look at the face, the eyes are smaller. If you look at the palm of his hands, it's the same color of everything else. That's not always true.
Well, you were observing it a little more finely, I think, than most people in the audience. They just make that general assumption. Again, it's a stereotyping of the total.
And these, because you have perhaps a coat and a tie and a hat on, you're a businessman.
Yeah, that's right.
Back to the thing that when you ask the IQ for kids, which one of these people are a businessman? You know, which is occupation? You got a ball player, you got a guy in work clothes, and you got somebody in a great little suit.
Bingo.
And if you don't pick that one, then you don't get a little smart.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes.
I think you had me puzzled from the beginning. You were asking the audience to pick out were there certain things that you noted in the picture, and you'd have to clarify what we're supposed to be looking at, what we might.
Well, the hook, the trick, the gimmick was that these are sort of miscast. You know, they're deliberately distorted to force the stereotyping, and that was the whole purpose of this B'nai B'rith tape. Yeah.
In the beginning, you said there was something wrong with it.
Well, that's.
It
was the stereotypes that are wrong. That it's deliberately distorted and forcing people to make assumptions and break down communication. Listen, because of the time, and I'm not going to be able to touch on the other 4 or 5 aspects of the talk that I'd hoped to talk on, could we turn the light back on? All right. I want to, I guess I just want to end by thanking you very much for your courteous attention. You've been a very, very, very nice audience, and I really appreciate it. And I'd like to end by saying, say what you mean, and mean what you say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciated it, and I'm sure that we gained something from it. We do have this on tape. If there are any points or anything that the instructors would like to review. Also, he said he did not get to everything that he'd like to discuss with us. Feel free to come down to my office. He's right across from the academic director, and I'm sure you can set up an appointment. He can either discuss some of the other items that he didn't cover this morning if you feel like he might have something that would aid you in your instruction. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.